In honor of International Women's Day, which was yesterday, we're taking a look at the historic 116th Congress, which boasts the greatest number of female members ever. At 106 women in the House of Representatives and 25 in the Senate. It's pretty good. Joining us now, New York Times political reporter Jennifer Steinhauer. She's the author of the new book, The Firsts, the inside story of the women reshaping Congress. Also with us, author Lauren Leader. She's the co-founder and CEO of All In Together, a nonpartisan women's civic and political organization. And I mean, Lauren, let's talk about what led up to this, because it really seems to me that women step up when they're fed up and they realize they're the only ones who are going to really do all the work. And in this case especially, I think there were so many women who were just inspired by what they were seeing, and a lot of it was really negative and sort of a slide back for women.
Absolutely. I think you could really speak to especially suburban women, black women, as the engine of turnout, the engine of political participation. We saw this not just in the 2018 midterms, as we talked about here on the show, but we saw it on Super Tuesday. Really, in many ways, Joe Biden won in the ways that he did because of the mobilization of black women. And the suburban women who, are the same suburban women that turned out to turn all these districts in 2018 are the ones that then turned out for Joe Biden. And I think we're going to continue to see that. They are fired up. We're looking, I saw Heidi's piece this morning about the women in Michigan. This is a force to be reckoned with, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
About Elizabeth Warren, because there did seem to be a real sense of despair among some women, we talk to, you see on social media, et cetera, that it's yet another presidential cycle that goes by without a female president. In terms of what can women do now to marshal that frustration, that sadness going forward, not just this election, but in the cycles to come?
Well, look, I think, first of all, to me, I think there's very little question we're going to have a female running mate, regardless of who, whether it's Bernie or Biden. I think it's imperative, and the message is getting to them loud and clear. We've already heard sort of discussion about who is in the mix. But the reality is that part of what we've been saying to women for years is that you have to mobilize and engage in the political process, regardless of the candidate, regardless who's in the White House, regardless who's in Congress. And I think that's a message that women are really learning. They're beginning to mobilize. We're seeing black women volunteering for campaigns in record numbers, really like a massive sea change in the engagement. And that ultimately is going to ensure that women's views, that women's issues, that women's concerns are really front and center in politics, regardless of who's in power. But we clearly need to see more women running. You mentioned Republican women. There's only 13 Republican women left in the House. This is a story that's been overlooked, and I think we're going to lose some seats in the Senate. The road to a Democratic Senate really leads through a number of women candidates in places like Kansas, in Maine, and even now in Iowa, where you're seeing, the surge of the candidate running against Joni Ernst. So big changes afoot.